All right, we are live. Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see you all one last time. I am so proud of all the work that you put into the homework assignments. You have until Sunday. I don't care how late it is, just get them in. You're going to get credit for everything. If you are struggling, if you've had like an emergency in your family, please reach out to me. I will work with you next week. All right, we're going to get you caught up and we're going to get you graduated from the course. All right, it's all yours, Deanna.
All right, well, welcome everyone. I will say today I am not by the fire. It was already getting very dark out. So today I am on my front porch in an enclosed porch today. So you won't get to see Deanna by firelight tonight. I apologize. But I do want to say a couple of things before we get started, just in case I forget at the end, of things that I want to share with you, as this is our last live session together. It's bittersweet. It's sad because I won't get to see your faces next week at this time, but happy that you're able to have received some of the information that you needed and connections that you needed, and to see that we can get your businesses continuing or improving or started. So I'm excited in that way. So a couple of things, I will be sending an email near the end of this week, either tomorrow or Friday, that will have a bunch of information about what's next. Okay, so there's going to be a webinar. Right now, I'm trying to work out a good time. It is a alumni services webinar. It usually happens at a time where a lot of people cannot attend, and that is okay, because it's recorded and sent out. So we either will send a pre-recorded one from the last class, or we'll do a live one. Either way, there'll be instructions on how you can ask questions after you've either been on or watch it. But that really kind of, it will explain, you're gonna be introduced to our alumni services team, and what now you have access to as a graduate of this program. We've put together a presentation, so that'll all be shared with you as well. And then how do you connect with us in the future when you have a request or need a connection, or wondering if there's a resource out there. You'll have a direct connection for that in the future. Not that I don't love you, but my focus when this ends is on the next program that's going to start. And so not that I will always help you or refer you to someone if you reach out to me. However, we do have a team at IVMF that deals strictly with alumni, and is a little more connected in the space than I am. So if I do end up referring you to them when you've had a question for me, it's because they know more than I do about what you're asking. So that's number one. Number two, as just for those of you that know, we're going to be announcing this program as an official program tomorrow on social media. And then at the end of the month in our newsletter. As part of our alumni now, you'll be added to the list to receive newsletters. You can unsubscribe from that at any time. But it's really good. It's only sent out once a month. It comes from alumni, and it talks about, upcoming programs, anything relevant. When COVID first started, there was a lot of information there about the SBA and all the loans that they were offering and all of those things. So really up-to-date information, especially as hopefully the economy starts picking up and we can do in-person events. There's a lot of in-person networking events that our alumni does around the country. So that's all shared in our monthly newsletters. And last but not least, we will be announcing next week, hopefully next week. It'll be next week, or it'll be the first week of October, a pitch competition. And so you're gonna getting a prequel from this. Not many people know about it yet, but it is official. That pitch competition, there'll be either 3 or 4 weeks to be able to apply for that. It's an application. You have to submit a pitch and most likely an executive summary about your business or your idea. And it's open to both men and women. and it will be held virtually. The finale. So there'll be a round of judging where everybody will receive feedback on their initial pitch and their executive summary. And then it will whittle however many applications we get, we're whittling down to 5 for a finale. And that finale will be held on December 2nd virtually. As part of our Ignite program in partnership with AUSA, which is the Association of the United States Army. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all of this. If you like our social media pages, I'll put our social media handle in the chat and make sure you copy that and like it. You'll be able to get those announcements once we put them out, as well as being alumni. It'll come out in a newsletter, or you might get a separate email on it. Any other questions you have about it, feel free to reach out to me directly. You have my email. So I don't want to take up any more time. I'll share a couple closing remarks at the end. I want to get started. We have 3 graduates with us. They have graduated from multiple programs of IVMF, and all of them have taken the EBV or the EBVF program. So EBVF is for family members of active duty military or at one time active duty. It's usually for spouses or dependents. But they've all taken multiple programs, including our Veteran Edge program, which I'll share more about at the end. And so I just wanted to, if you guys could take a couple of minutes, because I'm going to let you all introduce yourself. There was a brief bio of each of you on Blackboard. If you could just take a couple of minutes and everybody introduce themselves, then I'll start off with a kicker question, and then we'll get into some questions. And we're going to talk a little bit about Bail Team tonight. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier in the course, but we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit with our grads as well. So let's start with Christy. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hello, my name is Christy May, and I am the founder of Legend Acres, and I have been through numerous programs in the IVMF, and I don't regret a single one of them. They have all been super beneficial to me.
Awesome, thank you so much. Well, welcome. Let's go to Beverly.
Well, good evening, everybody. And I am just excited. I am so excited to be here with you all. I love, love, love working with the IVMF. I am a professional counselor and a certified health coach, and I am in Chesapeake, Virginia, loving life. What is this, day 2 of fall? So I've been through a lot of programs, so I know a lot of the panelists. I know some of the panelists. Good to see you guys again. Haven't seen Sandra in a while, but absolutely, I can't wait to get into the questions and answers for you guys, because this is a phenomenal program. Truly, truly it is. I've been in business now for about, 6 years, probably like 6 years. And I went through EBV, which was phenomenal in, what was that, Deanna? I don't even know what year we're in, right? It
was 2016 you went through, a year before I came on board.
That was a long time. Wow, it doesn't feel that long ago, but yeah, I went through EBV then, and I've been through a lot of the other programs, which, as you just heard, are just so powerful. So yeah, you're gonna definitely stay connected, and congratulations early, because you guys, this was an awesome, thing that you did to invest in yourself. So, all right, I'm gonna shut up. We got a lot to talk about.
On to Nick.
Yeah, so Nick Ripplinger, Battle Site. We're a defense contractor, mostly on the manufacturing product development side of things. But to echo everything that Christy said, which is great to see her again, we did the Acceleration Challenge together. Beverly, I know we've met, I think, at Edge, but just a great group of people. And honestly, there's millions of dollars on the table just between the IVMF network that's, flowed into Battle Site, or we've been able to help flow into other companies. So can't plug it enough.
Thank you very much. Nick mentioned the Acceleration Challenge. I will explain that. It is a part of our Veteran Edge conference. I'll explain that at the end. So let's start with the first question, and how we can kind of kick this off is, I'll ask a question to the entire panel. and then we can work it amongst yourselves. Who wants to go first? You don't all have to answer the questions, but if you all have some good input, that'd be great. And then there might be a couple that I ask you specifically. So we're going to start with one of the questions I kind of prepped you for, and that was our first question. As we're looking at, we've done this is our 7th week of this course, and we have some of this class is currently in business, some are just starting, some are still in that idea phase, as they're trying to, put together their network, and figure out, how to develop, and how to bring in people to their network. Really, how do you best leverage, or how have you best leveraged your networks and resources to help shape your company or yourself? Take it away and don't be shy.
Go ahead, Christy.
So what I was going to say is that I have found much value in networking with other veteran businesses, because out of that, I always go in with the attitude of that I am there to help them, that they're not necessarily there to help me, and kind of finding answers in where they're headed in life. As well as in business. And what I have found is that I have gotten so many ideas and things that I have used to grow my business just in talking with other businesses that are not related to anything that I do in business. And that has just been something that's been really helpful in just getting some different ideas. Other people think outside the box differently with some different avenues than places that you can go, ideas that sometimes you can't get past. And that has been invaluable, is doing the networking, and especially through the IVMF events like EDGE and some other things. We've stayed close as classmates in a lot of these programs, and we still utilize each other for resources.
I totally agree with everything Christy just said, but I kind of hinted at this in my intro. Is there seriously millions and millions of dollars that have been generated by just the network through IVMF? At the Acceleration Challenge, I ended up doing a deal with one of the guys. It led to some additional work for us. It led to a 7-figure contract with him with one of our customers, and just the ability to, cross-sell and just educate, potential customers. It's seriously the number one thing that gets overlooked, and it's probably the most valuable.
So of course I'm going to this was perfect the way we did it, Christy and Nick, because I'm going to absolutely back both of what they just said, and Nick's so correct. You got to stay connected to IVMF. Okay, whatever you do, do not disconnect from IVMF. Powerful beyond words. Secondly, not just veteran business, B2B, absolutely always good in any form or fashion, but definitely stay connected with the chambers, your local chamber. Get into those. Okay. Utilize the SBDC. You heard them. You heard that. You learned that in class already. Okay. So utilize them. The entrepreneurial centers, they're locally. Get to know those people. Okay. The veteran office, business office, get to know them. They work for us. They really do. Join some of the Rotary clubs, Lions Club. Get familiar with those people who are the movers and the shakers, not just locally for sure, wherever you live, that can absolutely open up resources all over the country, okay, and all over the world. Wow, I just can't, mimic what Nick said enough. IVMF, y'all, I can't, for me doing this for them, I can't even pay it back enough of how much they've sewed into us and resources that you have at your fingertip. I tell people there's no reason why you cannot be successful unless you just have a sorry business, idea, and they should have told you that upon graduation, and it helps you to restructure it, okay, and help you restructure it to get it to something that's going to absolutely work. And I loved what Christy said about service to many leads to greatness. So how can you serve? And then guess what? You're going to get it back. You're going to get it back tenfold, and that's exactly what's happening.
Thank you so much, all three of you. Josh, to kind of elaborate on what Nick said about, the money that's generated, right? So it's a couple of different avenues. One is grant funding. So we find and push out information when we hear about grants that are out there, number one. And being connected to our alumni services team, you're the first to hear about it. If you don't unsubscribe from our newsletter. Sometimes if it's specific to your industry, we'll push information out that way. Number two, being a part of the Coalition of Veteran-Owned Businesses, which is a free membership that IVMF offers. I'll put the website in the chat. You basically have to be a business. That's the only requirement. You have to be in business. And you fill it out as much detail as you can. We get connected probably weekly from large organizations, companies that want to do business with veterans and military spouses. And they're specific. We had a veteran or military spouse business that does window treatments in the San Diego area, right? If you're that veteran and you're a part of the CVOB, you're going to get that business. So we send them lists. We call them list pulls, right? So it's not just from our graduates. You can be a member of the coalition, even if you haven't taken a program that we offer. Our goal is to get every veteran-owned business and military spouse-owned business that we can onto that as part of our coalition, so that actually people could come into our website and filter through to find the business that they need to connect with. So that's another way, is that we help you get business. We help you with business to business, right? The third way, a lot of times we'll have companies, organizations, corporations that want to give us money for something like a pitch competition or a business plan competition or a challenge, a mastermind workshop. And so we put that on and we push out information first to our graduates and then to the larger community. So sometimes you get to hear about it first. So that's another way. But we never just give out money, right? You ought to put some skin in the game, and then, and then we'll in turn help you. And then I would say the fourth would be we connect you. If this makes sense, we connect you with local like for instance, we'll get you connected if you're having trouble with your local PTAC or your local Small Business Development Center or SBA, so that you can find community grants, community loans, things like that. So that's really what he means. And then the last thing is what Nick said. At our conferences, networks happen. We had a keynote speaker and a military spouse business make a connection, and that's just a small thing. Larry Broughton, one of our keynote speakers, connected with Rachel Bell, who's in communication and design, and she basically revamped his website as far as writing and how it should look and how to draw people there. So actually connections happen at our conferences, and people are able to do business. At Veteran Edge, we have Vet 100. Vet 100 is the top 100 fastest growing veteran-owned businesses in the company, taken from the Inc. 5000 list. We get as many of those to come to our Veteran Edge conference as possible because we honor them at a dinner, and connections happen there from veteran business to veteran business. So that's also another thing that happens. So those are just some of the ways that we help. And I know I went on and on there, so I'll stop talking so our graduates can. And so let's go on to the next question. I kind of want to go on the topic of, this one wasn't in like kind of the prequel questions, but it's something I think will be easier for you to answer. Let's get on the topic of COVID-19, all right, and your business. So, I know it's not fun, right? Josh is like, no. I would like, because I know some of you, especially Nick, I know specifically you because you shared with us a story, but some of you, what are some of the roadblocks that have come up with COVID-19, and what have you done in response to that?
Okay, so I guess I can go first. So if you saw my short bio, you all know I'm in health and wellness. So COVID actually was really great for us now, because of course more people are now aware of their health. And so that drove people more to us. It made that part easier. The challenge though was because we also work with a lot of corporate and educational institutions, of course they all shut down. So the challenge then became having to absolutely digitize everything going forward, packaging programs that I had not done before, and which I'm still in the process of doing now, and forced us to do that, which really wasn't a bad thing, but I still love people and love seeing people. So monetarily, it was a blessing in disguise for our company, but you just have to be flexible and meet the need of the people for what's going on like today. So, and then sort of trying to project a little bit as much as you can how that's going to look a month, 2 months, because nobody, I don't think, could have thought we would have been here today in September since March. There was no way you could have, told me that we'd still be doing this nonsense. But nonetheless, flexibility is going to be key and critical. And then again, you're going to hear it repetitively with the networking that has to happen when you have a crisis like this, something like this happen. And then again, you heard it earlier also, there was a lot of grant money that was coming out that we had access to bridge the gap and do all kind of, improving your business to getting that digitized systems in place and stuff like that. So yeah, that's for me.
I think Beverly hit it on the head. I don't remember exactly how she said it, but something along the lines of how did she add value? And that's kind of, as entrepreneurs, that's what we all look for, right? How do we add value? How can we, extract, cash usually is the value in return for that. But in our case, so much of our sales are done face-to-face and in person and at events. And with all that shut down, it's totally crushed sales. So how could we have been, of service to our customers during all this? So we got into, got this great idea. We're going to buy 4 drums of hand sanitizer, bottle them down, and ship them to our customers, just to kind of stay in front of them. And that kind of spun out of control, and we ended up doing about 50,000 pounds of hand sanitizer in about 90 days, which is a shit ton when you're not used to, moving 55-gallon drums or don't have the equipment to. So, it's just, how do you keep finding a way to add value to your customers?
So I'm gonna, Nick hit that too, is that whole value piece, and Beverly mentioned it too. And so what we do is we do dog training. And when you can't dog train in person anymore, because I'm in Arizona now. So not only did we just move our headquarters from Tennessee to Arizona in January, then COVID happened to us, and we were completely shut down. And so we were already servicing our service dog teams across the United States through Microsoft Zoom already. And what we did was we just switched everything to online, and we went everything virtual live. So all of the in-person sessions that I was doing with people, we went to Zoom, just like we are right here. And that kind of shifted some things for us, because we were also in the process of launching a mentor training program, which was supposed to be in person. But with everything going on, we decided not to postpone that, but to go ahead and launch it. And so we launched our program online. And so it's a mentor training program. We train dog trainers how to be service dog trainers. Or if you don't have any experience in dog training, we start you from the ground up through our program. And we built the program and we launched it, and it's online. And I have 14 students in the program right now, and we've already retained and hired three trainers through that program. So what I never would have foreseen is that we would have been able to grow this fast. But I will say that the working from home piece of that definitely helped, because it helped, it gave me some extra time to kind of focus on building these programs during that time. So at first we really didn't know what to do with ourselves because we had way too much time on our hands from as busy as we were before that. But I'm with Beverly on this. It was definitely a blessing in disguise, because it gave us the time to work with our legal team and get all of these programs and everything launched. And now we have a program where we can retain every student we take in. So we're guaranteed job placing in all over the United States right now.
Thank you very much to all of you. So I'm keeping track of everybody's questions as they're coming through. So I'm going to handle one since we're on the same subject.
Right.
Mickey it was asking, or sorry, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to Daniel or Mickey because we're on kind of preparing for disaster, right? So he's wondering, is there a formula to preparing for disaster and staying solid in business? Or, you know, what's the trick there?
So I don't think there's going to be a formula technically because each business is individualized, right? So definitely, we talk, and y'all have heard it a million times, that bail team being in place, key and critical, okay? Making sure that your finances, that you are on top of your money, okay? Because that can be a double disaster for something like this to have happened to certain industries, okay? So I personally, Beverly, I don't think that we can just, like, no one could have planned for this disaster. Like, you plan for, if you have a brick and mortar, that lightning can strike, or, you know, an act of nature can damage the building, or you get robbed or something crazy. But a disaster like this, I'm not so, you know, Nick, Chrissy, y'all have to jump in on this one to help me out, because I don't think we could have planned for a disaster like this. But being solid with your business, money, and plan, again, on being flexible, that is how you're going to be successful through a disaster. You have to be flexible and be able to shift really quick on, again, how are you going to meet the need of the customer? And then does that even have to shift? You know, or you have to reorganize. Unfortunately, a lot of people had to close doors.
I think Beverly hit it on the head. There is no formula, like, whatsoever. I mean, that's like asking for the formula to how to make $1 million, right? It's just not. If it was that easy, we'd all be millionaires, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, you know, you got to be like super conservative in, you know, your approach and what risk you're willing to take, and cash reserves, and not go crazy, to allow you to kind of our approach at Battleside, at least, was we're going to spend our way out of this, right? We're going to invest heavily on R&D. We're going to go buy up new patents. We're going to expand the product line. It's either going to be a massive, wild, huge success, or it's probably going to be the end of Battlesite. Like, luckily it's kind of, you know, played out to our benefit so far, and being able to pivot and how that we added value and how we stayed relevant, and then, you know, how we kind of got more customer buy-in, which has led to pretty significant growth in other areas of our business where we're seeing, you know, unprecedented losses in other parts of the business.
And so with that too, I want to add I'm with Beverly on this. What we had to do was we had to do something for the clients that we had. We already had existing contracts that were already paid. And so that really made us look at what our options were. And we actually didn't do any appointments for the first week during the shutdown, because everybody thought it was going to be like a week or 2 weeks. And it was very clear at the end of the week that things were not going to be changing anytime soon. And that's when I really got together with my accountant. We stopped some of our business expansion processes that we were doing. And so, I mean, while we backed down in some other areas, that gave us time to launch off in other areas too. And so it's really just being flexible with that. And what can we do to meet the client's needs right now? And that's what we focused on, and that's what we did. Because the other thing is too, is that our mentor training program picked up so quickly is because a lot of people were out of jobs. And so they were looking for something that was going to be able to sustain them once everything was over, because their unemployment was only going to last so long. And so we did see a lot of applicants into our program because it was guaranteed job placement because of that. And so we were actually meeting a need in two places. We were providing jobs, and we're also being able to service our clients where they're at.
Thank you so much. I actually have another question that's kind of along the same lines with COVID. It was asked to me privately. So Brian is not on video right now, but he's there. So his business is security consulting for faith-based organizations. And so here he's waving. So aside from traditional marketing, he anticipated that conferences would be a big part of how he could connect with potential clients. With COVID, that is obviously on hold. So what's some recommendations that you might have from your experiences and how he could supplement his ability to get connected with potential clients?
Brian, man, I feel you. Conferences are a huge part, trade shows, all that, our number one sales thing, and we've missed out on 12 of them so far since COVID hit off. So definitely feel your pain on that one. But I think, so my neighbor across the street is like the security guru for a local church. And I have no clue how you find him, but my guess is somewhere on these local churches and, faith-based organizations, they have something talking about security, and find the point of contact and just start calling them up.
And a lot of the churches now and a lot of the conferences in the churches are doing virtual conferences. So you can still connect with them virtually to get your information pushed through those channels as they're still having a conference, to make sure that the visibility is there for them. I think would be a good idea, piggyback off what Nick said.
So Brian, so something that you can do kind of locally that I did here is that, so being new to Arizona, I needed to start networking all over again. And so I did get in with a couple of large networking groups that cover the entire state that led me down into some lower groups. And I'm actually part of 5 different business-to-business network marketing program or organizations here in Arizona, and they're all different. But that has also helped kind of get the word out that because we're in a new market, we're in a new location. Legend Acres has been around for 10 years, and we're less than a year in Arizona. We were 9 years in Tennessee. And so it was kind of breaking into that new market, and we were doing it all during COVID. Another thing that I did was I got connected with our local Chamber of Commerce. And also there's another local business here that is starting a shop local initiative. And I've actually joined forces with her, and she has launched her business directory and business networking, and I'm on her board to be able to do that. And so it really just getting plugged in locally to different places to let more people know what you do, because you never know who in that circle knows someone else who is looking for your services too. So don't downplay on any of those local things. And a lot of everything that we've been doing here has all been virtual too.
Yeah. And I didn't mention earlier, 1 million cups. So you guys write that down, 1 million cups. Every Wednesday around the country, 9 o'clock on Wednesday, they meet. You can pitch your business. And there's a lot of sometimes great investors out in that audience. You get great feedback, but it's, again, what Christy said was that visibility. You have got to stay, in forefront. So hopefully, is your stuff online already, Brian?
It is not yet. I'm still working on website.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm working on.
So IVMF should be able to help you with that, okay? And you need that yesterday, okay? Because where we are today, it's digital. And so once they can see you online, then that's going to just help propel you just a little bit further, a little faster. So that you got to do that yesterday. I mean, even if you just started with, what's the cheap one? Wix or whatever. I mean, you better get something up. Yeah, get something up right now. Okay. That's not hard. They have a whole template. Everything can get done. It's not, it's It's not that expensive, but you got to get web presence and get on the social
Especially
media
when you're
handles.
reaching out, that's the first thing they're going to look for, man.
That's right. All the government stuff, you have to have a website. They don't even look
Yep.
at you or consider you if you don't have a website.
I'll say too, one thing. So one of my coworkers also was a small business, and one thing he did was he hired one of the students at SU to do it. He paid him, a couple bucks to put together the website, a couple bucks to put together his social media and run it. A little more than a couple bucks, but I mean that was he got a student from the iSchool that want to do that. So if you got a local college around the area or job board, I put it up there too. We do have services as well. But if you want someone local, someone you can connect with right there. I mean, students are always a good way to go if you live near a university too.
And they are super cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
They do good quality work because they're trying to build a
right.
portfolio.
Especially social media. They understand that more than I ever will. So I want to go back to a question that was asked early on by Mickey when we were kind of on that first question talking about networks. His question was basically about, most of his networks are really related to military, and right now, especially as some people are transitioning too. So how can we utilize that network, even though it has nothing to do, even though his business or your business has nothing to do with the military? What are some things maybe you guys have done in leveraging your military network?
Mickey, really quick, what was your business again?
I can give you the down low if you want. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Well, basically, my business is a tech startup, and so we can I make it easy. You can think as an Uber for the international shipping. That's what I did.
Okay, and you don't
So it's
think
like an Uber.
that can...
It's an Uber for international shipping, like utilizing people. If you have something you need to ship international, utilizing someone who might be traveling to that country to take that package there.
And you don't, but I guess I'm trying to just figure out, why would we not think that that's not military?
No, what I'm saying is well, because, based on what you guys mentioned is after we finish the class here, and we're going to have alumni, right? And most of alumni is come from the military network, So, and I saw like some of the classmates, they have a project regarding what they do is for the military. And what if your business is something else, it's not something about military, it's something for every other people. And how can you utilize, the network that you have?
Hey, Mickey, here's a prime example, right? We're connected now, right, through IVMF. We're both prior military or somehow affiliated with the military. Mm-hmm. I travel to Japan about 4 times a year. And it is crazy expensive for us to ship equipment over there before testing. So we would 100% probably be interested in looking at what type of services that you guys provide. If we can get our equipment there cheaper through a more secure, more trusted vehicle, 100% we would.
And
don't limit it just to our military service. Just
right. I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out, Mickey, because I'm not all just military. I mean, I'm working with school systems, doctors' offices, corporations. So I'm not clear on what your question is, because it sounds like you just need to find the right customers that are going to utilize your services. And Nick said it right. I mean, you want to utilize the military connections that you have to get you into other civilian sectors that you might not have that connection to. So I guess I'm not understanding the question.
No, basically you're right. I mean, Nick gave me a good point, because, first when they thought of military network, right, it's like most of people in the classmate I saw, they do something, for the military. And that's good, because they can use it right away. But what I did is not just for military, it's for somebody else, right? So that's why I try to think of, hey, how can I utilize, the network on the military side in my business? And I think Nick gave me a good reason to, give me a good example. Hey, he do some business on this part. Maybe I can work with him at some point, And I want to ask you, because you focus more on the health, you have to do stuff with the doctor and other people, patient and stuff like that. And how is that related to military? You know, I mean, I try to figure out from you how you like pivot your business to the from a military to doctor.
So
Nikki,
lucky
how-
me. So lucky me. I live in Norfolk, well, in Chesapeake, which is Norfolk, which is one of the biggest naval. So shout out to the Navy people.
It is the biggest naval base in the world.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, Navy, but Army all the way. I forgot to say that in my introduction, Army all the way. And I know there's heavy Army in this class. So kudos to the Army people. But, so because of that though, Mickey, I'm very fortunate that it's intertwined here. Okay. So the military and civilians are one here. And, again, I'm still not 100% clear on your question because again, as you go to these conferences, as you stay networked, just like Nick said, and talk to all of the military, they're going to open you up to civilian sectors that you would not get introduced to.
Good.
Okay, go ahead, Nick, because I know you were going to say something. I thought.
Yeah, but then I started talking some smack in the group chat, and then I got distracted. But like Mickey, I don't know how long you've been out, but it doesn't take very long to be out before you're disconnected from the active duty or the National Guard or whatever military component you're focused with. And then your military family kind of becomes that veteran family who are all out doing something else. And you just never know how wide somebody's network reaches. So I would definitely not write that off. It's a mistake that I made getting out, kind of disconnecting from the veteran community for a few years. And then the amount of, value that I've been able to receive from the veteran community. And also, kind of, at least I feel like I've been able to give back a little bit. It's been instrumental to, me personally, as well as the business.
Let me add one thing that you just mentioned, because for me, I try not to stay away, but I try to stay within. But I'm out for like 3 years, but right now I'm still in the Guard, so I'm still getting involved with the military network. But I'm thinking, let's say for people who actually out, how can they stay connected? That's also my big question. Because it's not easy to have like some group or something that you can just go in and talk.
Mickey, let me just help you, baby, okay? Because look, you are connected right now, massively, okay? So you're connected. Just believe that. Utilize the resources that IVMF has for you, and you're connected, okay? I can't stress that enough. So I don't care how long you've been out. Start here, and then again, start going, like Christy said, to the local organizations so that you can get networked properly locally. That's going to open up more doors. Don't limit yourself right now. I just feel like it's really limiting right now. Just don't limit yourself. Just believe what we're saying. Go out there, okay? Stay connected to IVMF. Attend the virtual conferences until we can get in real person, okay? And I know there was a B2B business question on there too, business to business. Okay, I'm just gonna stop there. Mickey, just trust the process, okay? It's gonna work for you if you stay connected.
Gotcha. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Moving down the line, I had a question that was asked privately to me from Heather. And really, it's about kind of pivoting, right? So this is like non-COVID. So when you were early on, you made your business plan, or you didn't make a business plan, right? You thought you had an original idea. Was there ever a point where you had to be redirected or adjusted your business and had to, rather than just like persevering through the hard time, you kind of had an aha moment and was like, oh, I need to pivot and move in this direction instead? It's a great question. I'm surprised I didn't put it down myself. So thanks, Heather.
I'll start with that one. So over the years, my business has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. So our mission statement that we have now and our business plan that we have now is not the same business plan that we had originally started with. And the thing is that you're changing to meet the client needs, but you're also changing with climate. Like, we tried certain things very early on in the beginning, like adding on services like pet sitting services and like dog walking where we went to people's houses, it was a completely not cost effective, and it was very time consuming for us. And so at one point we just dropped that service. We said, okay, we're just not going to do this anymore. And we just stopped offering that service. And it comes with kind of some trial and error, and certain things that you try to do don't always work out. But the broad picture has always been the same. And the mission has definitely always been the same, but the services and the products that we use, and those things have just changed with time. And you have to change. If our business was still the same business that we were 10 years ago, we would not be in business right now. And so being flexible and moving through, through the economy and through the times is what makes businesses successful.
Yeah, I agree with Christy, because ours definitely was on a smaller scale when we first started. And then we figured out that we could do the same work with groups and bigger groups and get paid a lot more. And so the cost effectiveness will drive how you pivot in your business and what needs to actually happen. And again, exactly what Christy said, is that you evaluate, after a certain amount of time and say, this is working for us and this is bringing in the revenue we want, or it's not. And we need some either outside intervention that can help put some puzzle pieces together for us properly, because we're missing some pieces here or there. And then also partnering with other companies. Okay, so you can get subcontracted by a bigger company also sometimes to do a smaller job for them. And again, y'all, through this whole conversation, a major one that I do want you to take away, it is about relationship building. Okay, that is what being a business entrepreneur is about. It's about relationship building those relationships over time that can get you networked into different avenues and open up doors that you probably couldn't see open.
Nick, do you have anything to add on to that?
What was the question again? I'm sorry, I've been caught up.
That's okay. You guys are going crazy in the chat. That's fine. That's
sorry, baby.
No, that's
I'm not very
okay.
good with chat being. I've sent like 15 messages to the wrong people, so I'm super.
No,
sorry
that's
for all that.
that's all right. So just talking about, was there ever a point in your business where this is not in a non-COVID world, right? Where you had a plan for your business, a business plan, and you realized you needed to pivot or make an adjustment somewhere?
Every day we make adjustments. I can't really say that we made like a massive pivot at Battle Site. Like, if we're taking COVID out of it, we have not made a massive pivot at all. But every day we make slight adjustments based off what we learned, right? The first product launch, I'll never forget this, man. We were out at SoCon. We were so excited. I've got my whole life savings wrapped up into like solid 8 inches of product. And we're going to take over the world and sell millions of it on day one. And that first test, they're like, hey, we love the technology. We absolutely hate how you packaged it. It's a giant piece of shit. We won't buy it. So, right, our technology was good. Our business plan was good. Our mistake was we didn't bring the customer in on the fit and finish initially. So, right, we adjusted. We redid the applicator. Super simple fix. It was done in like 48 hours. Went back out and, started selling the product right there at that event. But then kind of, taking what we learned and applying it to the next step, right? We don't develop a product without an end customer, kind of like in an advisory position, to make sure that we deliver exactly what they want. And, that's a pretty big extreme, but I mean, every day you take in what you learn and you just make those slight adjustments to be better tomorrow and then be better the day after that. And so next year that you're, you see significant growth with that kind of plan.
Thank you so much. Questions are flying in. We've got about 25 minutes left. We're going to get to as many as we can. This is great. There's never usually a lull for questions with this group, so this is awesome. So Josh had a question a little bit earlier as last week we really focused on financing your business and, you know, different avenues. Nick, I know particularly you've kind of received funding from a lot of different areas. I'm not sure as much about, you know, well, Christy with the Acceleration Challenge and a little bit. Beverly, I'm not quite sure. So could you guys kind of give, you know, Josh is really wondering, you know, how much personal money or family borrowed, grants, loan money, you don't need to give like exact figures, but you know, where was your main sources of funding came from for your business?
Yeah, so, you know, I was pretty fortunate. I had a pretty successful big corporate career before I started Battleside. So we had a little bit of money saved up that we were able to live off of when we started it. We did about 50,000 in local grants and business plan competitions, and through IVMF, I think I should actually probably know this number off the top of my head, but I don't know, probably somewhere close to 20 grand through different avenues with IVMF. And then we started winning SBIR contracts, or Small Business Innovative Research contracts. Some people consider that funding. I personally consider it, you know, contracted work, contracted development. That's kind of, you know, really throwing some rocket fuel onto our products.
Yeah, so for me, Josh, I'm into network marketing also. So I found a company that partnered with exactly down the avenue of what I wanted to do with my business. And that produced a significant residual income stream that I could feed into my business. And then again, through, like Nick said, through IVMF. And then there was another, I think Stacy Peter Chips, I got another 10,000 on a competition. And then Citibank, City Salutes with IVMF. That was another, I think, 5 IVMF. So same thing, you know, there's a lot of grant money through IVMF for sure. And then, yeah, so I think for me, that was my major sources until I started working, you know, with like City and then different universities and stuff like that. So I tried really to minimize debt, because it's going to be, of course, you're up the startup. So you're going to have more debt, but eventually you do want to get to a point where you are minimizing as much debt as possible, and not just intentionally just getting into debt. Okay, because that's just not that smart. If you know that you can't, again, Street Shares is another one. I'll throw that name out there. But there is a lot, y'all, there's a lot of grant money out there to grab. You just have to take the opportunity to fill out the applications, have your money straight, okay? So get QuickBooks, Quicken, whatever you need. Get a great accountant. My accountant used to work for the IRS. Have your cash flow sheets, know your money, and you should be able to enter any of the competitions all around the country and fund your business. And the MIC conference, I think, that's another conference. So I'm going to say this again, and I can't stress this enough. You're connected to a very, very powerful organization through IVMF, and they open up massive doors for you to walk through and to be able to fund your business. I mean, if you want to go to loan route, there are very low interest rate loans that you can get to help you start up. Hope that helps, Josh.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about, so I didn't do it the easy way like Beverly and Nick did. I started my business when I was still active duty.
There's no easy way when it comes to entrepreneurship.
So I started my business when I was still active duty. And I was active duty and I was pending a shoulder replacement surgery, and I knew that I was going to be med boarded out after that. And so I was looking for something that I could sustain myself on. But also kind of give back to the military community. And so I started my business funding it directly from my military pay. And that is how we started, is we started one thing at a time. I had some volunteers that helped me get our kennels up and working order so that we could open for business. But basically what we did was we charged a deposit for our dog and horse boarding, and that deposit paid to prep the space that they were going in when we first started. So that first deposit for horse boarding paid for the hay rack and the hay feeder and the boards that needed to be replaced in that stall because of the property that we bought had been not in use for several years and needed a lot of work. And so that is kind of how it started. Then when I got out, I went to school. And so I was going to school and building my business. And then I went to work outside of my own company. I worked for 2 years outside of at another company while still building my business on the side. And then I didn't go fully into my business until 2015. That's when I went full time. And at that time, I had already created connections, but I was making more money in my business than I was working elsewhere. And so it didn't make sense anymore for me to be away from my business and try to do both. And that's when I made the transition. And that's what it looks like for a lot of people going into business too, is that they're working full time and it starts out as a side gig. And that's how I started. And I never imagined that it would grow and be what it is today. And so there's nothing wrong with starting with just that. Now, over the years, I have been the recipient of a couple of loans. I do pitch competitions now, and I am seeking funding to move our next, our mentor training program to an online on-demand platform so that not everything has to be live one-on-one with that. And so right now I have just entered actually 3 pitch competitions this morning. I just finished all my entries for those today. And so utilize those for the funding, because not only that, it gets your name out there. I can't tell you how many times I've actually not won a pitch competition, but have made network connections that have got me funding through other avenues too. So don't discount those. Don't worry about putting yourself out there either, because I'm going to tell you, even if you don't win those competitions, what you get from those and the doors that open from those are huge.
Thank
So I don't know
you. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I don't know if we can make it any more clear from what I think every answer that we've said is all tied back to kind of that relationships and network thing. It is worth so much money to your business, which then, translates to so much money to you personally. But it's definitely that two-way street. I think Beverly kind of hit that pretty hard in the beginning, and so did Christy about, adding the value. But if there's one thing you take away from tonight, I think that's the number one takeaway.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I appreciate it. Also, Josh, I mentioned, because he's like, I haven't heard from this. Nick answered it for me. We push out this information. So when we hear about it, we push it out to you. And so now that, you're a part of us, you're in the cult, right? You're in the family. You will get that information. The fastest way to receive it usually is social media. So you gotta like us on Instagram and Facebook. Those are our 2 main, and it's not a plug for social media, but it's the fastest way and the easiest way for us to push out information to the masses. So get yourself on like notifications for when we, post something so you can get to it. And our newsletter, I'm sorry, what?
No, I was going to say, keep going. I'm just going to add to what you're about to
okay.
add.
And then our newsletter, read through the whole thing, because there's all different areas. Scroll all the way down, right? And when we send an email, read it. Like, I know these are silly things, but that's how you hear about it. We send you the information. You just got to read it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's silly per the below email, right? We all know those emails that we see all the time. But read the stuff that we send you, and don't unsubscribe, because then there's no way for us to add you back. We can't legally add you back because you unsubscribe. So, just, put us into a folder or something, and then once a month go through the folder of all the emails you get from us. But social media is the best way. Go ahead, Beverly.
And then I just want to add, Josh, definitely get on the SBDC mailing list, your local one. Okay. I'm going to bang again, Street Shares. They come out with a lot of pitch competitions. 1 Million Cups is going to open you up to another avenue of opportunities, entrepreneurial centers, the PTAC, all of those organizations that you guys learned about at the beginning of the class. Utilize them, get on there, go visit, do an office visit with these people so they can see your face, they know who you are. So because as they're talking to, and that's how it happens, you know, as cities are talking here for me, you know, I've been to the meetings, so I show up, that's the other thing, show up. And make your presence known so that, yeah, they think about you, know, like, hey, you know what, I remember meeting that Josh guy, he might be able to blah, blah, there it is, okay? So definitely stay connected. And no, this is not Scientology. I like God.
Kind of like it. It's a lot
No,
less
but
serious.
I mean,
No.
that's a good point too. Like Nick said, it's all coming back down to relationships. When you have a relationship, you're first on their mind. That happens with us here at IVMF. You know, when we hear of an opportunity, right away we're thinking about who are people that have stayed in contact with us, who are the people that are using our services, and you're at the forefront of your mind. You're going to get that first email. It happens with us too. I mean, we try not to be a respecter of persons, but you know, there's probably a lot of companies out there in the 125,000 graduates that we have across IVMF as a whole that do the same thing that Nick's business does or similar, right? But Nick is one of the first people we think about for that type of stuff because, you know, they're like, for instance, you know, we've had him on a couple of different panels for us, which has caused him to be able to make connections with other people and gotten more business. So, and the reason he's done that is because, you know, we think, well, we know I already knew at the top of my mind, he's gotten money for his business from like 4 or 5 different sources. And that's only because he's told us that and kept us updated. You know, Beverly sends us updates. You know, we like to celebrate in your successes. So, and so not just help you succeed, but celebrate with you. And when we get those updates, you know, that's something that you're on the forefront of our minds. So that's a great point, Beverly, in getting connected locally, because right away when they hear of an opportunity, you might be one of the first people that they connect with about it, whether it be business, money, or whatever. Heather, so both on Facebook and Instagram, if you search at IVMF Syracuse U, our social media will come up. If you type that into both Facebook search or Instagram search, I did put it up in the chat a little earlier. I can put it again at the end, as a quick reference. We only got about 15 minutes left, so let's ask. I got a couple more questions. Now, I want to make sure we ask a Bail Team question at the end. So if we can get out to the questions, I will try. Shimanda had a question about boots to business. I'm B2B, business to business. That's a program we have, Boots to Business. Really about marketing strategies for business to business. You know, have you done, those of you that have business to business opportunities, you know, has there been a specific marketing strategy that you found has been pretty profitable?
Well, recently, getting on social media for my veteran partners, we've been cross-leveling each other's services, sort of, kind of not services, but, you know, strengths like that. So like I would get on social media and advertise. Like a good example would be, we're about to do it. So this is just really recent. They're like their barbecue sauce. They do sauces out of Savannah. And so I'll get on social media and I'm going to start talking about how delicious these sauces are. And then they have supported my business. And the other hand, as far as, you know, with coaching or sending me clients or customers, stuff like that. So social media is huge, I think, in that way. And then again, relationship building and word of mouth and getting into those networking organizations. That's going to help you make the connection to do the business.
I'm B2G, so I have no clue how to advertise at all. So I'm sorry I can't be of more help there.
I'm going to go back Beverly on this, and it is that networking. I'm in several B2B networking groups, And I don't necessarily service other businesses in per se, but I help connect different businesses through some of the business directory, the board that I'm on. And so in doing so, it's being that forefront on everybody else's mind, because then they say, oh, hey, I'm in a group and there's someone in my group that does that when somebody's looking for that. So that's very helpful to be in those B2B groups. And you can find that. Search Facebook for B2B and put your city or your state or anything behind it, and you're going to find those groups. They're out there, and they do cross network, like Beverly said, and then they're talking about you and each other. And the more you can make other connections for other people, the more they think of you and what you do also. And so again, it's all about making those connections and helping other businesses. That's what's going to drive your business. And so it's not so much about marketing myself and what I do to other businesses, but it's really helping businesses, the businesses that do B2B work, make connections.
We do that here at IVMF when we don't close their door to someone. We don't say, oh, we don't have anything for you. We do their best, even if it's something in healthcare. We've got a lot of veterans who work for our organization, and if I can help you, point you in the right direction, and give you some advice or send you some links, we'll do that. So, it's about helping out, and you do something for them, they're more apt to do something. That's great. That's great advice, Christy.
Do you mean if you add value, it could come back to you?
Yes.
Okay, second takeaway for tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Nick, this is a question more for you, and Beverly and Christy, if you can add on to that, that'd be great. So Heather Royer, who's not on video but is listening, she has a question about government contracting. Can you kind of discuss maybe your process? She said that she's heard it's very intimidating, so she's just curious to hear from someone who's been through it and was successful.
Yeah, so the real key is you got to buy a couple government contracting officers. It'll cost you about 10 grand a pop. But no, for real, it's way too complicated to give a valuable answer here in a couple minutes. So if you guys have questions on the government contracting side, let's set up a sidebar call, because there's a million different avenues and a million different strategies for each avenue. I don't want to give generic bad information.
I will say this though, there are some basic fundamental things that you need to have in place. Hopefully, you got your veteran business certification. Get those certifications down. You can get SWAM certified. You can get 8A. You can get minority. I almost checked all the blocks, right? Service disabled, veteran. So those are good to help you in that government world, because that's going to help put you up when they're looking to try to check the blocks to make sure that they're meeting the government needs for different sectors that they have to fill, because the government wants an equal playing field, right? And then again, it's making sure that you have your paperwork and your information because here in Virginia it's pretty easy actually, because it's a lot of it virtual. It's a lot of not virtual. It's a lot online stuff. So filling out, getting into the SAMS database so that you have your DUNS. All that stuff needs to be in place, and it's not really, don't make it harder than what it is. And then partnering with some bigger companies that you can subcontract in to get the experience, so that then maybe you can just branch out on your own and go after the contract. So you can always partner. Like I partnered with it wasn't government, but it was city, with another organization for us to fill the requirements of that, what they were asking for. So Nick is right. It is really a sidebar kind of thing that you can, really get into the nuts and the bolts with. But it's not, don't make it harder than what you think it is.
But Beverly just hit the nail on the head, I think, is, again, right, let's tie this another question back to relationships, of knowing your strengths, having that network where you can fill potential holes. Like we started off as a subcontractor. It was on our first big, 7-figure contract. We were just a small sub filling a gap. And then since then, that big prime company has been a subcontractor to us on other stuff because of those relationships.
Thank you. Brian asked the question, is it worth getting some of those certifications if it's unlikely you'll ever do government contracting due to the nature of your business? And I'll give you my 2 cents, Brian. It is worth it for some of them. Getting some of the, when I talk about like veteran-owned certification, if you're minority owned, if you're woman owned, if you're service disabled owned, those things are very good to get. They're free for you to get. And there's a way that we can help you and guide you to do that through alumni services. But it's very good to get. One of the reasons is because you can register yourself within your Chamber of Commerce as that. So even if you're, I've personally, just as a personal, I bought a house a year ago. I'm a veteran, but doesn't mean that that's the only reason that veterans want to do business with other veterans, but I want to practice what I preach. So I'm here as a homeowner in Syracuse, New York, and I tried to find a veteran-owned company to do my gutters. I tried to find a veteran-owned company to do my driveway, veteran-owned company to do this or that, a veteran-owned company plumber, or military spouse. Like, I look for those things. And so it's beneficial in that way as well, because a lot of people do look for those things. It can also be a selling point to a business or to a company or organization that you want to sell to. They have, to say, ooh, we hired a veteran company to provide security for our church, or for instance, one thing that IVMF and Syracuse University love to do is we hired a graduate of IVMF, veteran-owned company, to put the parade deck, which is a big thing of grass, up on the 3rd floor of our new National Veteran Resource Center, Chris Dombach. He started with us from the beginning. He won the bid to put it in. And the reason he won the bid is because he was a veteran-owned business. And so, even though, and he wasn't contracting with the government, it's a private university. So it just depends on what certification you want to get, what story do you want to tell with your business, and what will profit you the most.
And it probably, Deanna, it should be in some of their material, but then your SBDC, they do classes on that stuff.
Yes.
So you guys,
you're going to find out about that in the Alumni Services webinar. Right. Whether you watch the recording or either way, you'll get a direct contact with Elvis, who's really the point of contact for you to get you connected with anything. Like I said, you can always shoot me an email too. Heather, yes, Heather asked if I could send more information about certifications. If you just shoot me an email to remind me, I absolutely will. If you shoot me an email, I'll try to put it up in the follow-up email that I send at the end of the week. Last thing I wanted to mention, do you need any air movers, Deanna? He always gets me to laugh. All right, I know we have a couple minutes left, but I really, really, really want to ask a question about Bail Team. All right, I know we talked a little bit about it early on, but let's just get it from the, for lack of a better term, from the horse's mouth, right? So at one point in your business panel, did you connect with a bail team? Is there, was there a specific person within your bail team? We're talking about banker, accountant, insurance, lawyer, right? Was there a certain point in your business where you had to connect with somebody over something else? When is a good point to do that?
Is that a real question? Like, did y'all not teach them that they better have that in place, like right now? Like, well, that
we've talked about it, but some of them, as we go on, yeah. So that's
this was not a suggestion, y'all. No. That is not a suggestion, okay? If you do not have your bail team in place, you are not in business for real. You playing, you have a hobby and you joking, okay? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you have a banker in your back pocket who's giving you resources and how to get some really great interest-free or low interest loans and making sure that your money is straight and your accountant? That's a no-brainer. If you think that you can, do everything that you need to do in your business, then your business is not going anywhere. Small and you can handle it, then that's fine. Your insurance, if you're not covered y'all, come on now. It's a common sense factor, seriously. Okay. And then an attorney, you should have attorneys, buddies that you're friends with, that you can cross-level information, ask questions to keep your behind out of jail, okay? And make sure that you're crossing T's and dotting I's, because you're gonna come across just crazy stuff. Like, I don't have to argue with anybody. I'm like, okay, you'll hear from my attorney. It's real simple. I don't have to raise my blood pressure about nothing. So bail, it's not a suggestion, y'all. Okay, it's non-negotiable. So get it in place now. If you're in business, you should already have it in place. If you're not in business, then start networking locally with these attorneys, these accountants, get the insurance in place, and have your bankers.
Well, it's pretty hard to add anything
Mike.
to that. I mean,
What?
agree. So my situation's a little different. I mean, I totally agree with everything she said. I talk to my banker once a quarter. We don't need financing. We don't need lending. It's like just a relationship that we keep going. We deposit checks. We use checks. So not super important at battle site, but definitely see how it could be. Our attorneys we speak to multiple times a week, and we spend a shit ton of money on them, and it's worth every single penny that we spend. Like, you know, problems do come up. We've been sued. We've sued people. You see everything, contracts, 100% well worth a team of attorneys. We have our IP guys. We have our business guys. We have our tax guys, because let's face it, nobody wants to pay taxes, which kind of brings us into the accountant, which is also very important. We talk to her multiple times a week, because I want to make sure that we're being as smart as possible with our expenditures and what's coming in from like a budgeting standpoint, but also a tax standpoint. First year that we were in business, 2017, completely shocked at how much we had to pay in taxes. Like, shit, we didn't make that much money to owe this much money in taxes. And there's strategies that you can really legally drive down your tax liability. So important.
Yep, big time. And
So
that
I'm
is
going
why
to tell
it's so-
you too. So it's also important from the gig standpoint too, because when I started, what I did was I wrote my contracts, but I had an attorney go over those contracts and make sure that I had covered everything I needed, state and federally, in my contracts, because we were taking in clients not just from our local state. And I had her go over all of those things. She ended up being our attorney for 9 years until we moved. And I've used her for everything from that. And then also a good bank. We've changed banks, because the first bank that we started with gave us a free business checking account that turned into a $5 fee for this and a $20 fee for that. And then they started charging all of these other things. And then before we knew it, we were paying like $80 a month just to have a business account. And so we switched banks. And did that. So those things I kind of learned the hard way. Just because it's a free checking account, they're not always that free. But we have much better banking now, and an accountant. So what I did was I got QuickBooks, and then I just had somebody do our taxes at the end of the year. And the first 2 years were awful, because the accountant we were using was not helping us with our taxes and getting us what we needed. So the third year I went to a different accountant who fixed year 1 and 2. We overpaid, which we don't get back. On those. So a good accountant is a good thing. I actually have an accountant that we hired on 3 years ago, and she does our daily receipts and our monthly reports, and she does everything, and she does all of our reporting for all of our HR, everything as well too. And I'm going to tell you, it's not as expensive as I thought it was. It's something I should have done originally from the beginning, is just have her on full time like I do now. So I'm going to tell you how much I pay a month for an accountant that does all of that for me. It's only $150 a month. And I should have invested that $150 a month from the very beginning, but I thought it was going to cost more money. And so I didn't do it. And I ended up losing money over all of that. With that. And so I'm going to tell you, who you have on your team makes a difference too. When I first did those contracts, my attorney only charged me $30 each contract that she rewrote and read for me. I mean, that's priceless. Those contracts have held up for over the years. So having those things in place, you don't necessarily have to have everybody on full time. Like it's,
Right.
you know, like they're just like on an on need basis, but definitely utilize those things.
Yeah, and when I first started, Legal Shield is check out Legal Shield. That's a very inexpensive way to get some oversight on contracts, like Christy said, and get some very inexpensive advice for keeping you legal and keeping you ahead of the game.
And so, like, one of the things that we did, lawyers are crazy, stupid, expensive. I think we'll all agree on that. One of the things that we did with our IP attorney, we negotiated a better rate on the first patent we filed if we guaranteed that they would get the next 2 patents that we did. And now we're like 17 deep or something crazy like that. And because we were able to work with them and build that relationship, like foot stomp right there, it's led to a very lucrative relationship for them and for us.
So Chris, I'm not part of Legal Shield. I just use their services. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, the pyramid scheme and all of that. So that I don't know what that part is. I can just pick up a phone, call an attorney, get the information that I need. So I'm not part of the MLM. So be careful how you put things out there.
So just in case everyone wants to know, I'm going to give you a really, really good accountant. Are you ready? Here she is. Boom. All right, take that down. Connect with her. She is a military spouse owned business right there. Boom. She was on our last class. She is a certified bookkeeper, accountant, author, and she's also married to an entrepreneur and graduate of our programs, right? She's been to a lot of our conferences, so she knows. She's been where you are, and now she's doing a great job. She's very successful. So even if she doesn't become your accountant, she's very connected across the country. So she can even refer you to some good trusted people within your local area. So connect with her via her website. I
want to say one thing real quick, Deanna.
Yeah.
So I know we're over time and we've got to get out there. But really quick, guys, I don't really care. And Deanna knows I'm going to plug this. I don't care how much money you make or have. I don't care how much makeup you put on. I don't care how much you work out. I don't care how much church you go to. If you don't have your health, what good is any of that? So as a business entrepreneur, you have got to take care of self-care. You've got to take care of you, okay? All money is not good money. Make sure you understand that. And you have to have boundaries when you start off. Do not try to do everything yourself. Do B2B, cross-level, barter, do things that's going to help you, take care of your family, and take care of just your personal world, okay? Because I don't think any business is worth your marriage having to go to hell for that. That is not worth it. Your kids missing out, or you missing out on all of your kids' stuff. I know there's a lot of sacrifice that has to go into building a business, but guys, have healthy boundaries. Okay, it's key and critical. All the money and you don't have your health, it means absolutely nothing. So that's my plug. That's it.
Thank you, Beverly. That actually is an answer to the question that I was going to ask as kind of a final closeout. Do you have any final things that you'd like to say to this group before we kind of say goodbye?
The other book is the book, The 4 Agreements. If you haven't read that book, right behind the Bible, okay, this is my second go-to book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Powerful. Get the book really quick, no random order. Don't take anything personal. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Speak with integrity. You live by that, you're going to have a very successful career.
Thank you, Beverly. Can you put that in the chat, please?
I can.
Thank you. All right, Nick, what about you?
Well, again, Beverly stole all the thunder. So, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, just crushing it. I love every chance we get to talk, Beverly. So thank you for that. It's been enjoyable from this side as well. But I think the biggest thing is, leverage the people you know. You guys I'm assuming, got pretty close in this group. Some of the people I went through EBV with or EBVA with, we're like, brothers and sisters now. It's amazing. Always call them up. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, we all have no clue what the hell we're doing, right? And anybody who says that they do, they're lying to you. So, like, cut them out. But, leverage these relationships when you get stuck or when you don't know what you're doing, because there's a chance that somebody might have gone through it and they know what works, they know what doesn't work. And then just, be there as well for everybody that's going to reach out to you, and just, be of service to one another. And it's amazing how valuable those relationships are.
Thank you, Nick. Christy.
Yes. So one of the things, the questions that you asked was favorite book. And so I'm going to tell you a book that I have read multiple times, and I try to read it once a year, is actually The Magic of Thinking Big. And so if you're not familiar with it, it's definitely not a new book in any way, shape, or form, but the information in it is very valuable as in your professional, not only in your professional growth, but also in your personal growth. And so The Magic of Thinking Big, and I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you very much. So I just want to give, we could probably go on and on. This was a great group to have on. I really appreciate your time, Nick, Beverly, Christy. And I know that the class does. It's great to hear from people who kind of have been where we are when we first start, walked kind of in our shoes, and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And this is a very hard time to start a business, but if you can make it now, think about, you know, when hopefully things go back to normal, and how much you can do. I feel like if you can start a business during a pandemic, then you can continue on business. Nothing's too hard. So there's a couple of things that I just want to share real quick, but so that they get on the recording. If you have to go, that's okay. I'll be like 3 more minutes. So then just watch the end of this so you don't miss out on this information. One, I told you I was going to talk about Veteran Edge real quick, okay? So Veteran Edge is a growth conference, all right? As of right now, our Veteran Edge conference is scheduled for March. I believe it is March 5th through the 8th. If you Google Veteran Edge, literally put that in Google, it'll come up to our IVMF site. And you can, the dates are there. I will include it in my follow-up email. Veteran Edge, you have to be in business for at least a year in order to be a part of it. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is we want it to hit you at the right place, okay? We want it to be effective for where you're at in your business. So if you're not there yet, that's okay. We have the traditional EBV happening again, starting in the spring through the summer. We are planning as if those things are going to happen, and we'll communicate if it doesn't as soon as we can. We're also looking at ways to offer extra post-program support if we can't have those, because we don't want you to continue to have to wait for some of those things. So Veteran Edge has an acceleration challenge, which is something that you'll find out about. It is a mastermind workshop for about 10 people, 10 businesses, to really dive in to your business, work on your business, and there's a potential and a possibility that you can win capital if you complete all the steps of the challenge. So for your business, and it's a pretty substantial amount. And so the mastermind workshop instructor also kind of helps you. If I got these funds, how would I put them to good use in my business? Where would be the best place to put them? So all that information will come out if you are a part of, now that you're part of our alumni. Pay attention to those emails, the social media posts. And then we also, at the Veteran Edge Conference, we also honor the top 100 fastest growing veteran-owned businesses. Don't email me and ask me how you can be on that list. We don't have any control. I say it because it's happened. We don't have any control of who's on that list. That is a list produced by Inc. 5000, and we vet the veteran-owned or operated businesses, and we invite them. Last year we had a little over 20 of the 100 come, and I think close to, probably, I think we had like 6 out of the top 10 actually show up. Some of the top owned companies are within the top 30 on Inc. 5000, which is pretty awesome. So some really top-notch businesses that you can network with. And then not to mention, as part of Edge, we have training, all right? So more talking about growth and scaling. So, you know, how do I get through these growing pains? And it's not for businesses that have 500 employees. It's for businesses. You don't have to have a certain amount of employees, but you have to show, you have to apply to the program, to the conference. There's an application process, and all of that will come out. You have to show that you've been producing revenue, and you have to show that you're in business and that you've been in business for at least a year. So it's something to strive to, right? And like I said, we have programs for where you're at in your business. And so if you're not going to be there by March, that's okay. We've got other programs for you. And it's something to look forward to in the future for your business and for connections there. And so EDGE stands for, I probably should have said that. EDGE stands for engage, develop, grow, and elevate. All right, those are the 4 things we focus on. We engage through networking. We provide multiple opportunities for you to network with each other, with subject matter experts, with instructors. We help you develop through business fundamental classes and help you grow in that way. And then we elevate, and we do that through the Acceleration Challenge and through Capital, and we do that through the VET 100. We elevate those businesses that are super successful. So that's all in a nutshell what that is about. One more thing I wanted to mention is that you will have access to the Blackboard class for a year. So there may be some items, especially in the additional resources tab. There's a lot of extra videos that you can watch on some things we don't touch, like HR. That's just one of them. I can't think of any more right now, and I don't know why, because there's so many. But there's a lot of videos in there. And this will all come in your follow-up email, so you'll know, you don't have to remember all of this that I'm saying right now. And obviously you can watch the recording. Again, if you want to watch another 1.5-hour video of me talking. So you'll have access to that for a year. You can still connect with each other through Blackboard in that time as well, but none of that stuff is going away. The only person you might not be able to connect with through Blackboard is Sandra, because she'll be on to bigger and better things at that time. Just kidding. She'll be moving on to either working in her business or teaching another class or many other things. So, but I'm sure you already have her email, so you can connect with her that way. So just remember, you'll get a reminder when the year is almost up around this time next year to say, hey, get whatever you need to extract off Blackboard because you're going to lose access to it. And we'll give you time to be able to do that. Last but not least, just a reminder, you'll get that email. It'll have information about the Alumni Services webinar and all those things, the things that we can specifically help you with, that bail team and getting you connected. Elvis has so many connections for you. And if he doesn't have a connection, he knows where to go. Same with me. I'll always be there to help you, to push you in the right direction. I'm not here to review your business plan. I don't have a business background, but I'm here to make the program as good as I can to facilitate your learning. That's what I'm here to do. Sandra's here to help teach you. I'm here to facilitate, okay? And point you in the direction of someone who can get your questions answered. So again, I just want to say thank you to all of you who are here. Thank you again to our panelists who are still with us. I really appreciate the time that you've given, even to join for these live sessions and the work you're putting into the feasibility analysis and all that homework. It will pay off in the long run if it hasn't already paid off. Sandra, I will say thank you to you. And I know her work is not done yet, but I appreciate you instructing this group. Sandra's a diamond in the rough for us. She knows our class, and she knows because she's been where you were, and she's a great instructor for a class such as this. I think I will stop talking now. Sometimes I start a sentence and don't completely know how to finish it. So with that, I'll say good luck, and I'm always here via email, and I hope to see your faces in person in the future, hopefully in 2021, whether that be at an EBV or an EDGE, or maybe at a networking event. So thank you all. Good luck as you finish this class, and I'll put a plug in for Sandra again. Don't forget to reach out to her if you're needing extra time to finish your assignments, or if you need help with your assignments. We want to get you graduated. Be a part of that graduated statistic for us, because we want you to be successful. All right. If there was anything we couldn't answer tonight, just shoot me an email. We'll see if we can get that question answered. And thanks again, Nick, and thanks again, Christy. And I know Beverly had to leave, but thanks to her as well. Really appreciate it. I will miss you all.
Yeah, same here. Well, just reach out to us. I know it's late, and I know you have a question, but Deanna will get you connected with the right people.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.